The invasion of Russia. How the Soviet Union in World War II encountered the largest land invasion in history and explored the German blitzkrieg. Explore. Russian troops explored the Nazi blitzkrieg strategy. Russian troops explored the betrayal bombardment from shells in the air. Encounter. The Russians encountered a surprise invasion from Nazi Germany. The Russians encountered devastating losses. Exchange. The Russians exchanged the idea that telling Joseph Stalin that the Germans would invade the next day it was not believed. Before invading, Germany gave Russia modern machinery and weapons for oil, raw material, and grains. Even though Hitler had the Blitzkrieg strategy, the Soviet Union weapons and population obliterated the Nazi German forces and put a huge dent in the Third Reich armed forces, with casualties of over 750,000 German troops, 2,093 aircraft annihilated, and over 2,400 tanks eliminated. Planning. Hitler gathered his prime generals and discusses how the soldiers should act. Hitler wants his soldiers to be harsh. He then explains that all Russian political authorities must be executed. Hitler gave the name of the invasion Operation Barbarossa after Redbeard, the nickname of Frederick Barbarossa, who 8 centuries ago arranged an attack on people who were Slavic. Hitler intends to capture millions of Russian soldiers so they don't retreat into their broad inland. Hitler did not want Germany to invade when the Russian winter sets in because it's a gamble that risks millions of troops to freeze to death. With the help of Finnish and Romanian troops, Germany's 150 divisions were expanded to 180 divisions. In the western part of Russia, Germans guessed were 150 divisions, with calculating the production of 50 more. Among all 150 German divisions were 3,000 tanks, 2,500 aircraft, and 7,000 artillery pieces. Joseph Stalin was convinced that the Soviet Union was safe from German invasion as long as Great Britain was still standing. Opening Day. The date of June 22, 1941 is the day when the German Luftwaffe Air Force knocked out Russian air bases to maintain control of the skies. This continued all day with a quarter of Russian aircraft obliterated. It took the Germans more than several days to gain over 200 miles of Russian soil. This caught Russia totally off guard. Therefore, Russia was not in condition to send reinforcements. Meanwhile, German troops have control of Lvov, Riga, Minsk, and Minsk. Russian resistance. German calculations were way off. The Russians had more than twice as many divisions Germany had. Turns out, Russia got a fresh 200 divisions in August, totaling the number of divisions to 360. The Russians outnumbered the Germans. Therefore, when Germany annihilated a Soviet force, they would run into fresh ones. Tanks and aircraft that the Russians had were doubled and even tripled compared to Germany's. Once winter set in, this was Russia's advantage. The temperature in Russia by late December was negative 42 degrees Fahrenheit. As a result, frostbite and incapacitation by March claimed the lives of 113,000 German soldiers. To add on to that, gasoline was inadequate and tanks needed to be of service because of damage. Russia did not struggle because Russian uniforms were made to handle the cold. Russian population. In the entry of World War II, Russia's population was 109,300,000, civilian and military. By the end of World War II, it was now 85,100,000. Most was taken by Germany. Compared to Germany's population, which was 80 million, but only 17 million were in the armed forces. Germany crumbles. Due to weather and miscalculations, the Germans were completely overwhelmed by Russian forces. Exhaustion and loss of momentum, the German army couldn't do it anymore. Conclusion. When springtime arrived, the German army attempted to invade again, but this time Russia was ready. From that moment on, Russia and its large army carved deeper into German territory, and therefore Germany was completely overwhelmed and surrendered to Russia on May 7, 1945, with victorious.